All right, let's dive into the sound of a truly one-of-a-kind artist, Erkan Oğur. Now, his music, it's not just a bunch of notes. Think of it more like a bridge, one that connects the ancient soul of Anatolia with our modern world. So let's get started on this sonic odyssey.
So to really get Erkan Oğur's music, you can't just look at him. You got to start with the land that shaped him. We're talking about a place where tradition and love and even the landscape itself, it all just melts together into song. And this quote, this is really the key to the whole thing. See, Oğur's story, it doesn't really begin with a birth date. It begins with a soundscape. This idea of a sound ecosystem, that's not just a cool phrase. It's literally the foundation of his entire artistic universe.
Okay, let's start at the very core of who he is, this timeless, almost mystical tradition of the Aşık. So what exactly is an Aşık? Well, it's so much more than just a musician. The name itself means the enamored one. We're talking about a centuries-old Turkish tradition of these, mystic bards, storytellers, who carry what they call an inner flame. It's this love that's both divine and, at the same time, incredibly human. Now, technically, the official documents say he was born in the capital, Ankara, back in 1954, but for Oğur himself, that's just a geographical fact, an anecdote. His real map, his soul's true north, is way out in Elazığ, in the far east of Turkey.
And check out this contrast, because it really gets to the heart of the tension in his life. On one side, you've got Ankara, all urban rigidity, that mechanical pulse of modernity. But then you have Elazığ, the savage pulse, the wild beat of the Aşık, a place of cosmic unity. And it's this exact duality, this constant push and pull, that really fueled his entire musical journey.
All right, so let's dig a little deeper into how his childhood in this really unique sound ecosystem forged the artist he was destined to become.
I want you to just picture this for a second. It's the 1950s in Elazığ. A young Erkan isn't sitting in some formal music class. Nope. He's literally absorbing music from the air around him. The sound of the saws is everywhere. At night, part of this incredible shamanic Sufi cultural mosaic of the Alevi tradition. He's learning ancient musical modes, they're called makams, not from a textbook, but just by being there, by osmosis, during the sacred rituals of the semi-assembly.
And a huge part of this tradition are these things called deyish. Now, on the surface, they're sacred Alevi poems sung during ceremonies, but they are so much more than just songs. Think of them as profound spiritual explorations, almost like bridges between the human and the divine, that are designed to question the whole idea that we're separate beings, and instead reveal this deeper unity. And from a super young age, he was just a natural, a prodigy really, a kind of mystic luthier. He actually said, even in my childhood I made our toys with wood and strings. I mean, can you imagine? He wasn't following some instruction manual, he was building his very first instruments totally from scratch, guided by nothing but an intuition that seemed to come straight from the land and the culture he was soaking in.
So this incredibly deep connection to the sounds of his homeland, well, it led him to something completely groundbreaking. A true act of musical alchemy, really, that would end up sending ripples all across the world of music. Okay, so as Oğur's musical world started to expand, he began studying Western instruments, like the classical guitar. And pretty quickly, he hit a wall. A big one. He ran into this fundamental problem. How in the world do you play the fluid, microtonal sounds of your own culture when the instrument in your hands, physically, just can't make them?
And this is so important. His most famous creation, it wasn't just some clever idea he had one day, it was an absolute necessity. It was born from this intense artistic longing and, believe it or not, even physical pain. He could hear all the complex microtones of Turkish folk music in his head, but the frets on the guitar were like a prison. He actually injured his hand trying to force the instrument to bend to his will. So what did he do? He took a radical step. He took the guitar apart, pulled off the frets, and right there, in that moment, the fretless guitar was born.
And in his own words, it was everything. He said, "The fretless guitar was an opening for me. There is no limit once you open that door." Just think about that. By yanking off those little metal bars, he didn't just tweak an instrument. No way. He unlocked an entire universe of what he calls liberated sound and went on to influence countless musicians in every genre you can think of, from jazz to world music.
And this philosophy, it goes right down to the instruments he plays.
He's not looking for perfection in some shiny, brand new thing. In fact, get this, his favorite instrument is described as a piece of broken junk. Why? Because he believes that true beauty, the real soul of a thing, flourishes in the fracture, in the absence, in the history of something that's been broken and lived a life.
But here's the thing. Oğur's journey was never a solo mission. It's really a story of profound connection, a whole series of dialogues with other nomadic souls just like him, all searching for that same, deeper sound.
His most important collaboration, for sure, is with Ismail Hakkı Demircioglu. He calls him his brother of sonic blood. I mean, that says it all, right? Together, they bring back to life the ancient Daesh of their ancestors, and their connection is so deep, it's said that when they play, they create a portable gem, basically a sacred, intimate space that exists just between them, no matter where in the world they happen to be.
But wow, his musical tapestry is just vast. He's woven his sound with artists from all over the globe. You've got his work with the Armenian duduk master Jivan Gasparian, where their music becomes this shared lament that just transcends borders and historical pain. Then you've got his jazz trio with İlkin Deniz and Turgut Alp Bakolu, where they just explore limitless improvisation. And his work never stops, with recent projects honoring both his Kurdish Alevi roots and the Turkish Republic.
So where does this whole incredible sonic odyssey lead us? Well, it leads to an eternal echo, one that is still resonating powerfully today.
I mean, this guy just never stops pushing boundaries. He gets involved in these super forward-thinking projects like concertevolution.org, where he's exploring the primordial link between music, geology, even ancient Sumerian myth. He's literally performing in places like the mythical Cave of Senet just to connect the sound he makes to the very rock of the earth itself. It's wild.
And believe me, his work is still incredibly vital and prolific. He is not slowing down. From founding that Concerted Evolution project back in 2014 to just recently performing improvisations in London, and with new releases slated for 2025, this shows his tradition isn't some dusty museum piece. Not at all. It's a living, breathing, evolving thing.
And all this, it really poses a powerful question for us, for our modern world, right? In an age of algorithms and slick digital perfection, what is the role of a voice like this? So singular, so ancient. You have to wonder, is he the last Aşık in a world that's getting quieter and quieter in all the ways that matter?
Ultimately, when you boil it all down, the big takeaway from Erkan Oğur's journey, it's not just about music. It's a profound invitation, and this quote just captures it perfectly. He invites us to love like nature, wild, scientific, infinite. It's a call for all of us to listen a little deeper, to maybe embrace a bit of imperfection, and to connect with a more expansive, untamed way of being.
And that's the thing about his music. It's a whisper from the past, but it's also a profound question for our future. A powerful reminder that some voices, like the voice of the eternal Aşık, they're truly timeless. Thanks for joining me on this exploration.